The Vikings, with their long ships and thirst for adventure, were the true pioneers of the age of exploration. Welcome to Historical Moments, where we take you on a journey through time. Our channel is dedicated to bringing you fascinating stories, pivotal events, and unforgettable moments that have shaped our world. Whether it's a significant battle, a game-changing discovery, or a moment of triumph, we uncover the history that defines us. Subscribe and join us as we explore the past, one moment at a time. The Viking discovery of America is a significant chapter in the history of exploration, often overshadowed by the more well-known voyages of Christopher Columbus. However, the Vikings, particularly Norse seafarers from Scandinavia, were the first known Europeans to reach the shores of North America, centuries before Columbus set sail in 1492. The story of the Viking discovery of America is filled with intrigue, adventure, and mystery, as these hardy explorers ventured far from their homeland and encountered new lands, cultures, and challenges. Before we delve into the discovery of America, it is essential to understand who the Vikings were and what drove them to explore far-flung territories. The Vikings were a group of Scandinavian seafarers, primarily from present-day Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, who lived between the 8th and 11th centuries. They were known for their formidable long ships, which allowed them to travel vast distances over open seas with speed and agility. Viking society was marked by a strong warrior ethos, but it was also a culture of exploration, trade, and settlement. The Vikings' motivations for exploration were multifaceted. Some were driven by the desire for wealth and resources, particularly through raiding and trading. Others sought new lands to settle, especially in the face of population growth and limited arable land in their homelands. In addition, Viking rulers often sought to expand their territories and gain prestige, which led to voyages of conquest and colonization. Viking exploration began in the late 8th century with raids along the coasts of Europe, including England, Ireland, and France. Over time, these raids gave way to more organized expeditions, culminating in the Vikings' discovery of new lands in the West, including Iceland, Greenland, and ultimately North America. The story of the Viking discovery of America begins with the settlement of Iceland and Greenland. In the late 9th century, the Vikings began settling Iceland, an island located in the North Atlantic. Norse settlers, led by the Viking chieftain Ingolfur Arnarson, arrived in Iceland around 874 AD. The island was sparsely inhabited, and the Vikings quickly established a thriving community. Iceland became a key base for Viking exploration in the West, as it was strategically located between Europe and North America. From Iceland, the Vikings set their sights on Greenland. Greenland, a vast but inhospitable land to the west of Iceland, was first sighted by the Viking explorer Gunnbjorn Ulfsson in the early 10th century. However, it was Erik the Red, a Norwegian-born Viking leader, who is credited with founding the first Norse settlement in Greenland around 986 AD. Erik the Red had been exiled from Iceland for a series of violent incidents, and he sought to establish a new home in Greenland. Erik the Red's settlement in Greenland was not without its challenges. The climate was harsh, and the land was covered in ice and snow for much of the year. However, Erik's settlement thrived for several centuries, with Norse communities developing along the southwestern coast of Greenland. The Viking settlers in Greenland raised livestock, hunted and fished, relying on trade with Europe to obtain goods that were difficult to acquire in the harsh environment. While Greenland became a vital part of Viking exploration, it was also a jumping-off point for further westward exploration, eventually leading to the Vikings' discovery of North America. The most famous Viking explorer associated with the discovery of North America is Leif Erikson, the son of Erik the Red. Leif was born in Greenland around 970 AD and grew up to become a skilled sailor and explorer. His most significant contribution to Viking exploration was his voyage to North America, which he called Vinland. Leif Erikson's journey to Vinland is documented in several sagas, particularly the Saga of the Greenlanders and the Saga of Erik the Red. These sagas are important historical sources, although they were written centuries after the events they describe and contain a mix of historical facts and legendary embellishments. According to the sagas, Leif Erikson set sail from Greenland around the year 1000 AD. His journey was likely prompted by reports of a land to the west, which had been discovered by another Viking explorer, Bjarni Herjolfsson. Bjarni had sailed from Iceland to Greenland, but was blown off course, eventually sighting a new landmass that he described as being forested and rich in resources. Although Bjarni did not land on this new land, his account sparked interest among the Viking community, and Leif Erikson decided to embark on an expedition to explore it. Leif's journey took him to what is now known as the northeastern coast of North America. The exact location of Vinland remains a subject of debate among historians and archaeologists, but the most commonly proposed site is located in Newfoundland, Canada, particularly at a place called Meadows. This site, discovered in the 1960s, contains the remains of a Viking settlement, including structures that resemble those described in the sagas. The discovery of Meadows provided the first solid archaeological evidence of Viking presence in North America. Leif's exploration of Vinland is described in the sagas as a period of both success and hardship. The Vikings found an abundance of resources in the land, including timber, grapes, and fertile soil. The name Vinland came from the plentiful grapevines found there. However, they also encountered indigenous peoples, whom the sagas describe as Skraelings. The interactions between the Vikings and the native populations were likely complex, involving trade, conflict, and cooperation. The Vikings eventually abandoned their settlement in Vinland after a few years, possibly due to conflicts with the indigenous peoples and the challenges of maintaining a distant outpost. The Viking presence in North America was short-lived, and the exact reasons for their abandonment of Vinland remain unclear. Some scholars believe that the Vikings faced increasing resistance from the indigenous peoples. Others suggest that the challenges of maintaining a settlement in such a remote and inhospitable location may have been too great. Additionally, the Vikings' focus may have shifted back to Europe, where they faced increasing pressure from emerging European kingdoms. Despite the relatively brief nature of their presence in North America, the Vikings left a lasting legacy. The discovery of Vinland demonstrated the Vikings' remarkable navigational and seafaring skills. The Vikings also contributed to the exchange of knowledge, trade, and culture between Europe and the New World, albeit on a smaller scale than the later European exploration that would follow. The discovery of Vinland by the Vikings was largely forgotten in European history, overshadowed by later events such as Columbus's voyages. For centuries, the Viking presence in North America remained a mystery, with many dismissing the sagas as mere legend. However, the discovery of Viking artifacts and archaeological sites, such as Meadows, has provided conclusive evidence that the Vikings did, in fact, reach the shores of North America nearly 500 years before Columbus. The Viking exploration of North America predates Columbus's voyages by several centuries, raising intriguing questions about the nature of European exploration during the medieval period. While the Vikings' impact on the Americas was limited, their voyages served as a precursor to the age of exploration that would follow. In the late 15th century, European powers, particularly Spain and Portugal, began to explore and colonize the Americas, driven by a desire for wealth, resources, and territorial expansion. Columbus's voyages in 1492 were a pivotal moment in world history, marking the beginning of sustained European contact with the Americas. However, the Vikings' earlier voyages remind us that European exploration of the Americas was not a new phenomenon, but rather a continuation of centuries-old traditions of seafaring and exploration. The legacy of Viking exploration also helped shape the way later explorers approached their journeys. The Vikings were master navigators, using a combination of celestial navigation, landmarks, and knowledge of ocean currents to chart their courses across the North Atlantic. These skills would have been invaluable to later explorers, who relied on similar techniques when navigating the vast oceans in search of new lands. The Viking discovery of America is a fascinating chapter in the history of exploration that has been largely overlooked in mainstream historical narratives. While the Vikings did not establish lasting colonies in the Americas, their voyages to the New World are a testament to their remarkable seafaring abilities and adventurous spirit. The discovery of Vinland and other Viking sites in North America provides valuable insights into the history of early European exploration. These discoveries highlight the importance of the Vikings in the broader context of global exploration. In the end, the Viking exploration of North America serves as a reminder that the history of human exploration is often more complex and multifaceted than we may initially realize. The Vikings, with their long ships and thirst for adventure, were the true pioneers of the age of exploration. Their legacy continues to captivate historians, archaeologists, and adventurers to this day. Adventurers too old. Thank you for watching Historical Moments. We hope you enjoyed this trip through history. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories from the past. Until next time, keep exploring the moments that changed history.